Javier Milei has been elected for basically one reason, because he's the guy who says he can fix the economy. And his big idea for doing this is dollarization, to throw away the peso and move to using the US dollar. However, just today I was reading in the newspapers that maybe he's rolling back on that idea and he's going to do something else, which is very strange since that was his principal idea. However, in this video, we're going to look at what dollarization would actually mean. At the moment, with the collapsing exchange rate and high inflation, more and more things are beginning to be priced in dollars because it represents some kind of stability. Houses and apartments have been sold in dollars for a long time. Now large consumer items like cars are being sold in dollars. Rents are being demanded in dollars. Ordinary consumer goods like computers, expensive things like that, they've been priced in dollars too. I had some dental work done a couple of years ago. All of that was priced and paid for in dollars. Some people's wages are beginning to be paid wholly or partly in dollars. Quite where all these dollars are coming from, I don't know, since there's a limited supply and limited access to these dollars, but this is what's happening. The country is dollarizing itself in an organic and informal way. What Mr. Milei was proposing was to make this kind of official and to make to throw away the peso completely and to move fully onto the dollar. However, reading the papers today, it seems like Mr. Milei may have changed his mind about this and may not be dollarizing after all. But if he does proceed with this idea, it was the principal idea after all, let's have a look at what that really means. There is a precedent for this kind of thing in Latin America. There are 3 countries which have already dollarized. This is El Salvador, Panama, and Ecuador. Now, Panama uses the dollar in parallel to its own regular currency. I think this is more to do with its geographical position and the canal and so on. And the United States would like to keep a close grip on what goes on in Panama. Also, Panama is the place where tax avoiders tend to stash their money, so it's important for that kind of reason too. El Salvador seems like a very experimental country here. Not only have they dollarized their economy, but they also are the first and I think only country so far that actually has cryptocurrency as an official currency. The most similar country to compare to Argentina in its situation for dollarizing would be Ecuador. Ecuador dollarized in January 2000 after an economic crisis similar to what is happening in Argentina today. I spent a period of time there 2 years before the dollarization and a period 2 years after, and can compare the two quite well. As I say, they dollarized in 2000. I was there in 1998 for a couple of months. Very pleasant country, beautiful, pristine beaches, lovely rainforest, nice people. The currency was already on a slide. It was 5,000 sucre. That was their currency, sucre. It was 5,000 sucre to the dollar. I left the country. I came back in 2002 and had an experience again. This time, it wasn't the same at all. Things had changed drastically. The beaches were covered in trash. Driving through the forest, there were water bottles discarded at the sides of the roads, and the place felt dangerous. Budget tourism had boomed, and along with that had come a whole lot of problems like drugs and sex tourism, and gangs had moved in to control these kinds of things. And everybody had guns. It felt like a very scary place. When you went to a shop or a cafe or a restaurant or whatever, there was always a guy on the door with a gun. If you didn't have an armed bodyguard, you were asking for your place to be robbed. Very often these bodyguards, they were not really official. It was just some family member with an old rifle sitting on the door. But, it felt scary, and it didn't feel safe walking down the street, even in the middle of the day. Not a nice place to be at all. I'm not saying the same thing would happen in Argentina. I think Argentina is starting from a much better position in terms of social structure, etc., than Ecuador was. And I think things would happen very, very differently here. But it's worth, it's worth observing what happened, and maybe one should look before one leaps. Is it even possible for Argentina to dollarize? I mean, in order to do that, the government would have to buy pesos from people with dollars. And the bank doesn't have any dollars. I mean, that is essentially part of the problem. To get the dollars needed to dollarize, the government would have to borrow lots of money and increase the debt even further. It's a very vicious circle. Dollarization of Argentina's currency would also hand over control of Argentina basically to the USA. The most obvious problem with this is not just control of the economy, but also control of the destiny of the country. If the Argentinian government at some time in the future wants to make its own decisions about something, and those decisions go against the interests of the United States, it becomes very easy for the United States to put pressure on the country to toe the line. Argentina is no longer independent. It's a junior state of the United States. And if the United States economy were to fail, like it did in 2008, Argentina goes down with it. Mr. Milei seems to put the brakes on his idea for dollarization for the moment. However, should he return to this idea, he should remember that it's never good to burn one's bridges. And it would be good to negotiate a way out for the future. That's all for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, or if you didn't, please like, subscribe, and comment. And hopefully I'll see you next time. Okay? Adios.